Hello beautiful people, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by to watch my video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested in this type of content. Don't forget to leave a comment. You can subscribe to the channel. You can give this video a big thumbs up. You can share it with anybody you think it would be useful for, or whoever you want to share it with. Thank you so much. You can stick around. Let's learn from each other. So today I want to talk about childhood trauma and childhood experiences and how they affect us in our adulthood. I was actually trying to Google what childhood trauma is. I wrote it down, but childhood, okay, I'm just reading out what I read here. Childhood trauma can be described as serious childhood experiences. Yeah, I think it's more of the same. What we experienced when we were kids, when we were younger, when we were smaller children. I think that is what it is. And actually what prompted me to talk about this is because earlier on I was having a conversation with my son. I have 3 wonderful babies that I'm really grateful for. So he was trying to play Would You Rather with me. So he posed a question and he was like, would you rather live with a place with no internet, no phones, no gadget, no TV, like nothing? So I was like, yeah, I can actually live like that. I've lived like that before when I was younger. So like I ended up telling him about myself. I was like, when I was younger, I actually didn't have a phone. I first held my phone when I was, I think, 15 years old. And he was in shock. He's like, what? Are you serious? Then I'm like, yeah, even TV. I never really watched TV when I was small. I would like basically play. So he kept on asking me, did you have, so that means you had so many friends? Were you playing with your siblings? What? And I was like, no. It actually made me think back. I was like, no, I actually played alone. Most of the time when I was younger, I played alone. Then I kind of started telling him, you guys should be creative. You're not supposed to rely on TV so much, on gadgets so much. You're lucky you have siblings here. You have, other friends around. And this got me thinking, like the more I ended up talking about, the more I was talking about it, I kept thinking about it. So when I told him, I used to play alone because my sister that follows me is 4 years younger than me. So you can imagine that gap. That means when she was born, I was already like 4, turning 5. By the time she grew up to start playing with me, that's already some time. So he made a statement. He was like, oh, is that why you don't like playing with us when we call you to come and play with us? And I was like, no, that's not it. It's because I don't like games. Then he was like, no, but we found you last time. Okay, what happens is I happen to have very many like indoor games. Like I have games that we can play as a family with the kids. I have games with the cards, those board games, chess. I have Ludo. Recently we were playing Ludo. And some of these things is because I've been trying to work on myself, that now I get to play with them, that I get to invest in these things that can help me become a better mom or a better person. But then he made a statement, because sometimes I taught them how to play cards. I don't know how these cards that have die, heart, what is it called? Flower. I don't know how to call those cards. Those cards that you shuffle and different people play until you win a game. So I taught them how to play that. So there is a time he found me in my room trying to play the cards alone, because if I recall, when I was younger, since I used to play alone, I used to attempt to play some of these games alone. I remember there's a point I had cards and I would like play with them. I pretend like there's somebody there who plays a certain card, then I play one on top. And one day they came to my room and they found me playing. They were like, what? Why are you playing alone? Why didn't you call us? So fast forward to today, while we were talking about this, he was like, oh, I see. That's why you enjoy playing alone and you didn't want to play with us. Is it because you used to play alone when you were a child? And when he told me that, I was like, oh my God, this is serious. Yes, I'd never really thought about this, though it's something that I've been working on, like people skills, to be with people, how to relate with people. Yeah, and this prompted me to sit down and record this video to talk about some of these things, because we realize that most of the experiences that we had to go through, or the things we did, you know, the things that happened to us when we were much younger tend to affect our childhood. Like, we respond towards them. And in most cases, if these issues have not been dealt with, like if we've not done the healing, if it is to do with healing, if we've not done the healing, you know, if we've not learned to discover ourselves, it leads us to live, like we tend to react even in our adulthood, in the way we relate to society, in the way we relate to different things, like the inner child in us. It feels like the inner child in us is still crying, or is still out there saying, I'm also here. You need to save me. It's more of saving the inner child in us. Yeah. And you know, when we talk of trauma, trauma can be categorized into the psychological, and it could be also physical. Like, an example could be if a child was physically abused when they were younger. Like, an example, let's say if, you know, there was a child that was abused by maybe the dad, like maybe the dad used to be physically abusive, like hitting the baby, and would also like hit the mom as well. If a child had to go through this physical abuse while they were young, usually when you grow up, two things will happen. If it was a girl, two things may happen. Like, in terms of if you're to choose like a life partner, let's say like a husband or a spouse, most times you may end up going for a man that is physically abusive because of that experience. It's like it was a physical thing, but again, it's gonna be like a psychological thing. You will end up being attracted to a man that is physically abusive, or you're gonna be like, you know what, I can't deal with that. I grew up seeing all this. My mom used to be beaten. We were beaten. You know, I can't have this. No, I can't have such a person. Yeah. And even for the boys, if a boy grew up in a family where there was domestic violence, like let's say the dad used to beat the mom, and you know, at times they even beat the kid, or even just beating the mom, the child having to witness this, to experience this, to see this, usually these boys, when they become adults, they will end up being maybe spouses who hit their wives because they grew up seeing this. They feel like it's normal. They think it's normal. And most times, it's not even something that you're going to say, yes, this is what I do. Like, it's like a mental disease. It's like a mental illness, because it's psychological. It's trauma. It's in your mind. For you, you will know this is how a man is. Or the boy may turn up into a very, very good man who is like, I can't beat my wife, or I can't beat a woman. I grew up, my mom suffered, you know, this and this happened. But again, still, that trauma is also still there. Even if you turn out to be somebody who doesn't do maybe like what your parent did, your domestic violent parent did, they still that healing needs to be there. You'll still find a gap, because you may find this man may even be so overprotective over the daughters, over the wife, over too much, which can sometimes, by the way, be too much. Then there could also be like psychological torture, where there was like absence of a parent, or abandonment. Like, if a child was abandoned by their parents, maybe the mom abandoned, or even both of the parents abandoned, this person is gonna grow up with abandonment issues. You get it? You'll find even when you become an adult, let's say years have passed, you're 40 years old, you've not tackled this inner child, you've not thought about it, and you tell your inner child, you tell the younger child of you that, you know what, we have now evolved, we have grown, I got you, like things are better now. Before doing that, it comes with more of self-healing, to realize some of these traumas, or you know, some of these issues, some of these things that were faced as a child. It comes with self-healing. That is when you get to heal that part of you. Anyway, this is something that I've learned through the process of healing, you know, and discovering myself, loving myself more. So you're going to find somebody who had like abandonment issues. It will also affect in the way they grow. They may, you know, like there is this gap. Let us say somebody who had an absent mom, maybe the mom abandoned them or what. You know, these days, we've been hearing so much about narcissists. Is it called narcissist? Yes, narcissism. What? Narcissism. And, you know, when you come to a conclusion of some of the reasons as to why people are narcissists, apart from, you know, getting them from community or from friends or what, most narcissists have mommy issues. Most people are like mommy issues or abandonment issues because they were abandoned when they were children. They grow up in this way of, you know how you feel like you need to fight for everything. You need to, get this attention. That comes with a love bombing for somebody to like you. They have to go by your terms because this and this you get. I'm not here to talk about narcissism or what, but that is like another example. Or you'll find you're a person, let's say if you grow up and you get friends, now you're an adult, they're friends that really care for you, they really care for you, you can see that they care for you, but you have this issue. At times, you might lay back, you might be like, you know what, these people are eventually gonna leave me. Even if these people have not said, we are going to leave you or what, like you can really see it genuine, but you may tend to, like you pull back, and then the other party who is like maybe trying to become your friend or trying to do something with you will be like, you know what, that person is so hard to deal with. I feel like I'm just forcing life with them. I feel like they're not giving me back the same energy that I'm giving them. I'm not saying that this is how it's supposed to be. Of course, there are times when you don't give back the same energy to someone, when you really see your blood isn't matching, your energies are not connecting. But sometimes even abandonment issues cause this, and it's about you knowing. It's about you knowing what triggers you, what is that one thing that happened to you as a child. And there are also some traumas that are, okay, obviously, let's say you were caught in a fire when you were younger, and now when you grow, whenever you see a fire, you're so scared of it. Like, that is now understandable. That is easier to notice, and you find a way to work through it for you not to be scared of that fire again. But there are some of these things that are inner, that are deep within you that you have to find out within yourself. And most times we do not even know that. I don't know if we do not know or we ignore. You know how you meet people and you're like, oh my God, that person is so great. They can speak such words. Oh, they're the president. I'm not blaming any president here, but we don't think of how much drama they might be holding. And some of these things, it's easier for somebody to kind of discover if maybe you get into like relationships or like lifetime commitments. Maybe you get married to somebody, and then you find the way this person is treating you, or the way you're reacting to them, or maybe like you're in this stage. A perfect example is, let's say you want to start dating. You will find that you're attracting a certain kind of people. I don't know if you get what I mean. You're going to find like you're attracting a certain kind of people, mainly because of that trauma that you have, because of whatever happened to you when you were young, or something that you missed when you were young. Let's say an absent partner. You might attract an absent partner because you had absent parents, or you had abandonment issues. Whether that's a perfect example of abandonment. You might attract a certain partner who is not really there for you, who actually abandons you, who tells you I love you, but they don't really love you by their actions, or by being there with you, or by being there for you. I don't want to really, but those relationships where really like, and the funny thing with this is, when you're in it, you may not even know. Okay, you may feel it, but you may not notice. But people who are outside this might see, and they're like, there's something wrong with these people. See, the kind of people, for you, all the boyfriends you're having are those ones that have, that have something similar to abandonment. It's like there's a way they abandon you, there's a way they treat you. Maybe you're like a second option, you're just there, they just come to you when they need to, or what. Sometimes it's because of this trauma that you had. Maybe you had your parents were absent. Then the other thing could also be like sexual abuse. Let's say if somebody was sexually abused, if a girl or a boy, even boys are sexually abused when they are young. If you were sexually abused, sometimes there's a program that I used to like listening to. It was more of testimonies, how people, like give their testimonies. And the beauty of this is that usually you like give a background of how you grew up, some of the things that you experienced when you were young, and then later you notice that they are reflecting on your adulthood. Now I want to talk about like sexual abuse. If a child was sexually abused, now this child may grow up and become a prostitute, and then you wonder, this person we even went to school together. What is happening? Where are they on the streets? And you know, even when you meet this person, they're like, you know what, me, I don't know. This is what works for me. Like this is it. And then when you go to look through, you're like, this person was sexually abused, and this is what they know. This is what they're gonna respond to in society. And even another thing, okay, you may not become a prostitute. As I said, there are two sides of the coin. You may be this person who hates, if you're a girl who was sexually abused, who hates men. Even your brothers, even if you have brothers, you will end up hating them. It's in you, from deep in your heart. You're like, me? That other sex I don't want, because if this sexual abuse that you could have gone through, because when you look at a man, you feel like, you know what, this person is gonna sexually abuse me. Could be your brother. You know, I've had testimonies where girls have been sexually abused by their parents, or by a male, you know, an elder male person, or, you know, like the males around them, and they've attempted to kill their brothers if they have any. They've even attempted to kill other men. There are people like who are just up upon, I'm going to destroy this other sex of people, because of that trauma that they went through, because of that sexual abuse that they went through. So I feel like trauma is something that we really, really, really need to deal with. That is why I feel like self-healing is something that we really need to do. Even things to do with self-esteem. You meet somebody that has self-esteem, low self-esteem, and you do not know it is because of some of the traumas the things that they went through when they were younger, some of the issues, some of the things that they witnessed. Even trauma can come through witnessing. You witness something that is so horrible, and it is forever in your mind. You can't get it off. And usually when you go through a similar situation, you know, like, trauma is actually something so big. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a certified person, but I think through self-discovery, through, you know, like self-healing, trying to figure out, you know, some of these things, like, you know, childhood trauma is something that came into my mind, and I thought I could talk about it. You know, I thought I could talk about it, and I would really be interested to have feedback, you know, to have somebody to talk, because we need this awareness. It's more of mental illness. I'm not sure if trauma is mental illness, but usually it leads more to mental illness. It's more of mental illness, mental awareness, you know. Like, I think this is something that should be tackled. This is what we have to do, because it projects in the way we deal with our lives in adulthood. It affects our work, you know, our careers. It affects us in our families. If you're starting up with a family, some of these childhood traumas, you know, affect us in our families, in our relationships with both friends or spouses or co-workers, you know, in the things that we want to do, in our goals. Like, I feel like this childhood trauma, if we do not deal with the inner child in us, if we do not get this inner child and deal with whatever situation and tell this child, you know how you look at yourself and you look at the younger version of yourself, regardless of what you went through growing up, regardless of that pain, you know, sometimes it's pain or whatever situation you went through, you tell your inner child, you're like, you know what, I got this. I got you. Everything is okay. Everything is going to be fine. We are now a different person. We are evolving. We are healing. We are healed. Like, I feel like unless you find a way to heal, unless you find a way to embrace and give that child a hug, that inner child of you, like, I feel like that is the only way that our society can be better. We can be better human beings. We can be better people, you know, better, because if I'm doing fine, if I'm healing, and you know, that next person next to me, even like in relationships, in marriages, you'll find that most marriages are failing because of these traumas. You know, you find like friendship, somebody who is really your friend, who is really breaking up because of these traumas. Businesses are failing because of the childhood traumas, since we are reacting to these traumas that we had as kids. You know, it affects us even in everything, even in politics, like in the way we deal with different things. So I feel like it's something that we should be aware of. It's something that we should talk about, that we need to find solutions. And if you've watched my previous video, I was talking about therapy and why we need therapy. And the other good thing of therapy is you get to deal with these traumas, you get to deal with these issues with your inner child, you know, and find a way to silence, or, you know, not really silence, or, you know, like to warm that inner child of yours, you know, like whatever the situation was, you know, to give them a hug and be like, you know what, everything is going to be fine. That happened, yes, that happened, but now things are good. Now things are greater. We are aiming for the greater. We are healing. The issues I wanted to point out about trauma, what trauma could lead to. It could lead to attempting to please. You see those people who are always struggling to please, people pleasers, you know, like being a people pleaser. That can also be an effect of a childhood trauma. Even frustrations, like somebody who is always frustrated. You know, there are people we meet in society and you're like, ha, that guy is always frustrated. That lady is always frustrated. Hey, I don't even want to come next to them. But some of these people are dealing with this not trusting. You know, not trusting. You know, like it is so hard for you to trust anybody. It is so hard for you, like even a genuine person could come into your life. You're like, no, I'm not gonna trust. Now let's say like business, because if you're a business person, if you're gonna do business, you have to trust. You have to trust somebody. Like if you're going to purchase goods from a person, maybe you're going to purchase goods from a wholesale, you have to be able to trust them that I'm giving them my money and they're going to deliver. Like personally, currently I live in China, and if you want to purchase goods to go and sell in another country, you go to this shop, negotiate, pay a deposit, and trust that they're going to produce the exact goods that you want, you know, and ship them to you, so that you can do business. But with these traumas, there are people that do not trust. You don't trust anyone. I'm not saying just trust anybody. There is also fear of judgment, where you always get, oh, how are people are gonna judge me? Now, what are people going to think? Oh, you know that fear of judgment. You fear to be judged. Whatever you do, the way you walk, hey, fear of judgment. How they're going to judge me? And these days now, you know, we have like social media. You know, like sometimes you may see. Let me talk of Instagram. You'll see like a reel that is so funny. You're like, wow, this is so cool. I'm going to repost it, or maybe I'm going to repost this. I'm going to post this. Before you post it, you're like, ha, people are going to judge me. Somebody is going to think I'm talking about them. I'm going to think I'm portraying. This is what I'm going through. But some of these things is because of trauma. You know, I can't name each and every childhood trauma. Like I just named a bit. I just wanted to bring awareness to this. Like it's something I would really love to talk about. That is why I'd be pleased if you left a comment, or if this, you know, these are some of the things that we're supposed to be talking about. And you know, I think that maybe there could be somebody that needs help. You know, there could be somebody that is in their healing journey, discovering themselves, and you've not thought about childhood traumas. You've not been able to sit through to think about, okay, you know, it's always good to sit through and think about, okay, how was my childhood? Yeah, this and this. Okay, I know that it's at times it's not good to visit some of these painful past experiences, especially if they were painful, but at times it helps us to heal. You know, you rethink through, you revisit, you're like, okay, and you find solutions. And the point is finding solutions, finding how to become better. Yes, that experience does not go away. It does not go away, but you get other beautiful experiences. You get beautiful memories that you can build on top of it. And it all comes down to healing. It's like having a wound. If you heal the wound, you put medicine, you're gonna feel better. Yes, I don't want to talk so much. So I think I'm gonna have to end my video here. If you've watched my video up until this time, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to leave a comment, give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Let's grow together. Let's learn from one another. Yes, thank you.